Welcome back to another episode, the Lightdrop podcast, where it's just two friends talking creativity and beyond. My name is Jamil.
And my name is Jeff. So, Jamil, today I'm going to kick it off.
Do it.
I'm going to start things off with speaking about something that I heard recently.
Okay.
And who I heard it from was this guy we've been talking about for the podcast, Oren Soffer. There we go. Hopefully, Oren, if you're listening, I got your name right. But yeah, so I heard him
Oren
speaking.
Sofa.
He's got Oren Soffer. Yeah, but I heard him speaking on a podcast I recently listened to called The Collective. I mention this podcast all the time. It's by Ash Thorpe, and Oren Soffer is a cinematographer that worked on The Creator. He was like one of the main cinematographers. And he was talking specifically about this idea of taking from Star Wars. So, when Star Wars came out, George Lucas had made this world that had so much detail, right? That it felt real, like all the mundane things. And Oren and Ash were basically just talking about like how upset people get about, Star Wars being done a certain way, or things being changed, or people trying to replicate it. And he just said, like, they both actually said they were like, Star Wars is for everyone. The storytelling aspects of it, you can change whatever you want as a storyteller. And I just thought it was really nice. I mean, now that, last week we kind of discussed AI world building and all the possibilities that will be possible basically in a few years to everybody in a high quality manner. Storytelling is about to change, and the fact that we can each create our own pieces of Star Wars, we should be excited about that instead of kind of limiting it. You know what I'm trying to say? Limiting it.
Lemonade.
We have to
Yeah,
fix
we don't
this.
want to lemonade yourself.
Yeah. Don't lemonade yourself.
Don't lemonade yourself.
Limit. Don't limit yourself to.
Yeah, I mean, I guess this is one thing that I'm finding interesting is, I don't even know interesting, but we have these conversations, we dive right into them, and we're often talking about the same thing, like the same greater thing, you know? Because
Yeah.
we had a conversation not too long ago about um like creative writing and what that is and how it's like combining that with working on a project that is a culmination of essentially the fan base, like something like Star Wars or I don't know, Dragon Ball Z, all these Destiny, the video game, all of these IPs that have these huge followings that over time get molded by that following. So it's interesting to see like where that can go with tools to make world building, at least from the like mechanical standpoint, like not necessarily the ideas of world building, but the actual like process of putting it to paper kind of thing, that
Mhm.
becoming a little bit easier and a little bit like quicker, where people are kind of cranking stuff out.
Yeah.
It's like we talked about last week with that quality of materials, like plastic toys versus back in the day they used to have metal and like leather toys and stuff like that. um if somebody gave you a toy from the 50s right now and was just like, I don't need this. This is from the 50s. This means absolutely nothing to me sentimental wise. I just found it. Figured I'd just give it to you. You'd probably at the very least be like, okay, let me like I'm gonna put this on my bookshelf for a second. Maybe find someone who like would want it. You know, it's made out of metal. It's nice. It's quality. I don't want to
Yeah.
just throw this out
Yeah.
from the 50s. Whereas if somebody gave you a toy from like the 90s, from the dollar store or something like that, you'd probably be like, "Oh, I don't need this. Throw it out.
Yeah.
It's made out of, it's replicated, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. Like I can get another one." You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Um, I wonder if that's gonna start to turn into, if that's gonna be the case with stories and other storytelling mediums and everything, worlds
Yeah.
and games and stuff like that.
Yeah. I definitely think, yeah, that's bound to happen. That oversaturation where everyone is kind of making whatever. I mean, it happened with the internet. It's definitely
Yeah,
a
we
lot of
already see it with YouTube, like,
yeah,
and that's the thing too, is I feel like by the time by the time you start seeing YouTube videos about how to make the popular YouTube video or the popular TikTok, it's already too late.
yeah,
Like the you think that, like, I don't know, that's become so normalized with this idea of like chasing the trend, but um in the past at least you had to kind of have your ear really close to the ground from the standpoint of having that intuition of what the trend was.
hmm,
Nowadays we just have people telling us what the trend is and how to do it. And so you end up like with some really cool, innovative, like fresh ideas. And then all of a sudden it's just like you see it everywhere, like
yeah,
really quickly. And it's like starting to get cycled out faster and faster.
yeah. It's it's really sad because it's I think it kind of keeps people from enjoying like the best stuff because now they got to filter out through
Hmm.
all this like just random stuff that people
Oh,
build and stuff.
nonsense.
Yeah, just nonsense. So it's gonna be interesting. I think there's gonna be there's gonna be always people who will be able to curate better options. There's probably businesses that will be started off of that. Like these are the best, you know, out of the world buildings or the whatever it is, the stories, VR
True.
experiences. Um,
Because I was
but
gonna
yeah,
ask you,
it's gonna be crazy.
how do you shift that? And it is probably up to like the curator. I feel
Mm,
like really the only curator we have is your YouTube account algorithm
yeah,
or your LinkedIn
right.
algorithm, which you really don't even know how it works, really. Like it just
Yeah,
kind of takes what you
just listens.
like I feel like it even used to take like a minute too. Like
Mm,
nowadays I'll watch one video that's some like out of left field video that I saw, and all of a sudden now my whole YouTube recommended is just destroyed.
yeah,
And it's showing me all this other stuff that I was like, "Dang, I just watched that one video about how to make like how cattle ranchers drain their cows' hooves." Like
yeah, exactly.
true
I think
story, by the way. It's nasty. It's nasty, nasty video.
how cattle herders what?
Like the cow had like an infected hoof or something like that, and he had to
Oh,
drain it. And
bro,
my YouTube recommended just
have
destroyed
you
after that.
seen? I saw a cow being birthed once, uh, and I was
N-
like,
On purpose?
"What's going on?" I just see this is obviously I want to go see my grandma in Kenya, and then um, I'm just like,
Oh
"What's going
wait,
on?"
you're talking about see,
I
that's
saw
what I'm
birth,
saying. In my head, I'm
yeah,
just I'm already thinking about you. You're talking about in
real
person.
life, yeah, real life, and it was like,
Mm.
well, this is this is happening right now. There's no TV here, so I guess I have to sit here and watch this. So,
Can't
yeah,
skip.
yeah, no, I can't skip. It was an experience. Um, but yeah, no,
Yeah,
back to back to what we were talking about. The the thing that I don't like about YouTube recently is that, like, okay, like I'll watch something that I like, then I'll watch something else that I like, and then when I go to the feed, it's just like everything that I like. So it's like, what do I even click on? I can click on all these things. It's like
yeah.
sometimes
It's
I
like
do.
there's
Just
no
like,
like yeah. That's the other thing is what if I want to see something I've never seen before? It doesn't even know like it doesn't expose you to your the things that we have that are curating our content are just turning into these echo chambers
yeah,
of the same old stuff, and so you never actually get exposed to anything. Like you don't even like I said, you don't even know how it works, how those
mhm,
algorithms work. Um,
yeah. So
and it's yeah, it's like
that'll
I
be a
said,
good
I was
point.
gonna ask you, how do you like that issue that we're probably gonna see happen like faster and faster, where something cool comes out, or like a little bit cool, or even like somewhat kind of like, oh, this is interesting, it's new, it's fresh, and like you may not even catch it in that phase of it, right? It might you
Mhm.
might only see it once it starts to become the fad
Yeah.
that everyone's kind of recreating, you know.
Hmm.
Um and so how do we like broaden that, you know? Like how do you create this situation where some people are seeing this really cool thing, and some people may not even see it, right? Or like know that it ever
Yeah.
happened until like late, like it kind of hits people at different times, but it's always fresh and like exciting. It's never this processed product. Kind of
Yeah.
it probably does come down to the curation of it.
Yeah. There's always going to be something, either a person. I think people do the best curating because when
Yeah.
we share stories about the things that we see, we can get each other excited, and we'll pick up things that, if you have a bunch of friends and they're like talking about a specific show or
Yeah.
something, they'll probably discuss it in ways that, you didn't even think about. And then that thing becomes interesting. Um, so
It's
yeah, I
like the
think
boy
people
and
are
the
the best.
heron.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
I
we
never
could
would
talk
have
about that
watched
all
that
day.
unless you tell like yeah, it's like I usually don't watch movies or shows unless
Yeah.
it's come in highly recommended from, you know, from a friend, a family member, something like that.
Yeah. I started doing that too recently. Whenever people tell me a show or something, I'll save it and check out the first few episodes. And I tend to stick with the episode more if somebody's been like,
Yeah.
watch it,
Yeah, if I find something on my own and I'm like, this is starts off slow, um, it's really easy for me to just turn it off. Yeah, like I feel like some people are like, "Oh, I gotta finish it because I
Yeah.
started it." Nah, I'll turn it.
Yeah.
I'm really picky with like if I watch like stand up on Netflix or something like that, stand up comedy.
Yeah.
If you don't get me laughing like even just a little bit in like literally probably like 60 seconds,
60
I change
seconds,
it.
geez.
Yeah, it's 60
That's like
seconds.
that's like the intro, their intros.
No, nowadays these Netflix comedy specials, they just jump right into it. They start
Yeah.
talking about something like I usually give it like 60 seconds because
Wow.
there's so much out there, you know?
Yeah. Gotta move on
And
to the next thing. Yeah.
I feel like I said, sometimes we feel obligated just because we clicked on it, but
Hmm.
like you really got to be a filter for what you're consuming, you know?
That's
Like
true.
you can't watch something just because you started it, just because it like
Yeah.
if you're
Just
like,
because
man, this is
you swipe
good.
to it, you don't have to stay with it. You could
Yeah,
like, nah,
like
that's a good point.
we have to also be our own curators in that regards. Is like we can't be mindless consume, and that goes back to your original point of the Star Wars like IP, like these IPs and stuff. I think
Yeah.
that people kind of get like it's like you can't satisfy them. They get to that point about like Star Wars or whatever it is, Dragon Ball Z, or
Hmm.
several years ago it was Demon
Demon
Slayer. Several
Slayer.
several years ago it was Game of Thrones.
Oh my god.
It's
Game of
like
Thrones fans, man. Jesus.
it goes on long enough,
Yeah.
and it's like you got to ask yourself too, like what do I actually want from this?
Yeah.
Am I just watching it just because I've been watching it now, or am I like, aren't they still making The Walking Dead? That
Oh
blows
my
my
gosh.
mind.
Apparently Rick is back. I'm like, I thought he
That
died.
bl- Bro, that baffles me, bro.
Yeah.
I'm like, like,
Let it
I don't
go.
know. I don't want to bash anybody that likes that
Grey's
likes
Anatomy.
yeah, yeah, that likes, The Walking Dead franchise, but bro, I couldn't
Yeah.
watch a show like that for what, 13 years now? It's
Yeah.
been on.
I don't remember. I feel like it started when we started SCAD or before that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's been.
couldn't.
What else is there to say? I
Yeah,
mean,
like what, like find something new, or even just in general that genre.
yeah,
It's the same like five stories in Hollywood told over and over in different ways, but
yeah. I mean, I guess those they have their place in people. They're almost like a remedy for like a comfort thing. To be
yeah,
able to see something and just know what to expect. I think
I
that
think that
that's yeah, that's probably it. It's like it's digestible TV that's comfort. Sometimes I don't get it because every like I'll watch stuff and I'm like, what's the hype about this? Like Friends. I'm like, why do people like Friends?
mm.
How can y'all watch this for like 11 seasons or something? Um, but that I think that's what might be what it is. It's just comfort. Uh,
Yeah, because I think of kids, even not like when I was a kid, I watched The Lion King probably like 50 times, 60
oh my god,
times.
still good.
And it's,
I do that.
yeah, but it's like, there's also that aspect too of like when you're little, you just like to just put the same, like when you kind of know what's going to happen,
Yeah,
like it's background stuff. But that's another thing that I wonder if we don't really think anything of it just because it's something that we've always done, but that's probably no good either, right? It's like,
yeah,
watch something else. Like we have the like it's like we watch it because it's comfortable, but like it's
yeah,
just like anything else. You want to get outside your comfort zone.
yeah. I mean, that's it's gonna be interesting to see what happens with AI with that. Like, what comforts will people build for themselves, and the fact that they can build even richer experiences. How will that be a good thing or a bad thing? Um, it's definitely going to be something's going to happen for sure. It's whenever things like that are accessible, they can be abused, but also it's kind of like I don't even know what the term is. The other side of the fence. It can also be a good thing for other people. So we'll see. But nah, to finish off with my
Don't
guy Oren.
lemonade.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah.
lemonade yourself.
To finish off with him, he I didn't finish the rest of the episode, but I stopped at this one point that just it was just a good point to make. So he was discussing this idea of the creative well, which is just this, place that you go to where you can tap into things that you've always enjoyed. So having um some people have like inspiration boards, they have songs, they have places that they go to kind of pour back into their well so that when they're working, you can, go back to that place and pull out that memory, that experience, that feeling and apply it to your work. And this is something that you will constantly do as an artist, as a creative. But it's important to tap back into it. So, if you go to the mountains once a year, once you start working, go back to the mountains still, because that's the thing that got you to create some of those things, to be able to share that experience. So, no, it was just a good point that, a beautiful point of tapping into yourself, pouring into your well, because you will need it, right?
Yeah, I've been now that it's springtime, weather's getting nicer, and you get that vibe when you go outside that things are starting to wake up, you know,
Mhm.
which is kind of like I always think is cool because I'll go on a walk like in my neighborhood. There's like a nice kind of little nature trail
Mm-hmm.
that I'll walk through. That's like paved, but it kind of goes through like the trees and everything. Um, in the wintertime, it's quiet. Even when it's sunny out, it's just quiet and kind of calm, and things are just not dead, but hibernating. Right
Mm-hmm.
as you're walking through, you just get that vibe from nature. Um, but now that it's spring, I'm walking through the trail and I'm walking around and I just hear birds. I hear stuff rustling, like I hear things like in the little like there's this little man-made kind of pond, small like lake area where there's turtles, and I'll
Mm-hmm.
just see turtles just like chilling on the bank, just like, you know,
That's
jumping into
amazing.
the water, and yeah, like just everything's out and about. Ducks and geese are flying all over the place, honking and everything. And I was thinking to myself, what are they doing? Like I'll see a goose like flowing through the water, right? Or like just kind of like coasting on top of it, or like maybe like two or three geese, or like two or three birds just like flying around through the air. And naturally I'm like, what are they doing? Like, what are they trying to do? Like, where are they going? Like, what's their objective?
Mm-hmm.
And then I had to kind of stop and think for a second, and I was like, they don't have one. Like, they don't have to have, like, they probably ate already. They're like, they're comfortable. They're just, they're just. Why can't he just be chilling? Like,
Yeah.
like on top of the, flying through the air. Like and then when you start to watch the rest of the animals in that way, you start to see like that's what it's about. It's like there isn't they're just there. They're doing their thing, chilling, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's us that kind of has this notion that we have to be doing something. We have to be doing something, moving, you know, everything that we're doing has to be for a purpose, for an action, like to bring us closer to XYZ. Um so that creative well, to wrap this thought out, point I'm trying to make is that you sit around and you say, okay, like I want to make progress towards this thing that I'm trying to make. So I'm going to keep working on it. I'm going to keep working on it. I'm going to keep working on it. But it's counterintuitive because then you start to lose that balance of work and like work inspiration, like what you're actually doing it for, which is to feel satisfied, to feel, you know, energized, rejuvenated, right? If you keep working in that way, then you're stripping yourself of that. And so you're depleting your creative will. You don't have anything to draw from, right?
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like having that mentality of there's a time to put in, there's a time to put out, right? Or time to take in. That's probably a better way to say it. Time to take things in, and then a time to put things out, right?
Yeah.
We don't have to work for 8 hours every day. Like if you're working on your own project, don't feel like you're not making progress just because you're not sitting down in front of your desk working on it. Like
Mm.
walking through the woods, relaxing, doing nothing, you know, but enjoying the sun, the nature, like that's still making progress towards what you're trying to create, because in doing that, you're replenishing your creative like juices to draw from, you
Yeah,
know. It's
I
not
love
it's
that.
not like, "Oh, okay, what's the goose doing?" He's like, "Why isn't he finding food?" Like, he already found some. He's relaxing for the rest of the day. That's the reason he worked so hard in the morning to find that food, was so that he can chill
Yeah,
for the rest of the day, floating on the water. So, I think that as we create, we should have that same, that same fun mentality. Is like, we shouldn't strive to have to be like 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day, 10 hours a day to make
yeah,
progress on this. It's like you actually make more progress probably if you
yeah,
did 2 hours and
yeah.
then 3 hours of walking through nature, kind of thing, replenishing.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah.
that's a. I love that point. It reminds me of this this quote by Paula Scher. She's a graphic designer for Pentagram, which is like this huge graphic design agency. But she says that like
Pentagram.
design Pentagram, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So it's the quote is like graphic design to make this, like good design, you have to be in a state of play. And I think about it
Mhm.
sometimes a lot, just because you know we forget that even though yes, sometimes it does feel like work. Like you have to be at a good place to make the things that you couldn't even imagine. Because if you're in this like tense place and you haven't seen anything recently, you haven't gone outside, you haven't eaten anything, like how can you expect yourself to make the best things? It's kind of unfair to try and do anything when you're fully tapped out.
How
Um,
can you do good if you don't
yeah,
feel good?
you don't feel good, you're tense. And I remember when I was in school, my one of my Rhino professors, Rhino 3D. Have you heard about that program? It's like industrial design, but I think they use it for like
Yeah. Is it
modeling.
like, yeah, I think so.
But yeah, so he had during our finals, we had two final projects. So the first one was obviously the thing that you had to make in Rhino. The second one was we had to build a kite and then fly it in Tybee Island, and that was the final. As long as you did that, you passed the class basically. Um, so I was looking forward to that. It was a lot of fun. We did it. I still have the video, and we had to have like a partner, so it was even more challenging. But we got it done. Um, but right before our Rhino final, the actual modeling, he said, "Don't eat junk food before you start working." It's like you're not going to be able to make anything that good if you're like just drinking coffee, you haven't eaten, you haven't slept. You just can't expect that of yourself. So I always try to remind myself of that. Is like you can't don't expect yourself to make anything good, and if you make something bad, it's an easy way to reset yourself. Just get some
Yeah.
sleep, eat.
It's like, it's not only that, it's like you said, you can't make something good if you're not ingesting good things, and you can't make anything at all if you're not ingesting anything at all, right? It's like, if you just
Yeah,
spend all your time making and you're not ingesting anything, then you're just going to run out, right? Or vice versa. If you're ingesting crap, then you're going to put out crap. So it's like, I think the best way to summarize your thought and my thought is that, um don't don't feel like you're not don't feel like relaxing and taking in nature and enjoying things outside of your project aren't moving you closer towards the end goal of your project, because it's all one and the same. It's all going towards you being able to, fulfill your vision, right? Your idea, your goal, whether it's work goals or even anything, right? Like relationship goals or trying to be a better writer or painter or graphic designer. It's like the tangible skills of sitting in front of the computer obviously are the only thing that's going to that's going to put the pixels onto the screen to like make the thing obviously, but don't feel like you're not also making the thing by reading a good book, relaxing, reading a, laughing with friends, going outside,
Yeah.
spending 2 3 days not working on it, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know and
You
then to
said
your
sorry.
point about the junk
Hold on.
food.
Hold on. You said laughing with friends, and I immediately wanted to laugh. But I was like, I can just picture us in Mexico laughing together. Sorry. All
Dude,
right.
we jumped straight into it again. We always do this. We started the debatable thing last week.
Yeah.
We're gonna do that again before this episode is out. Maybe we should do that now because we just went through a little like tangent of deep thought,
Deep thought.
and I
Yeah.
was deep thought, and then we should take our own advice of laughing with friends. Hold on. Hold on.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So, those of you that are on Spotify, Jamil has left the building. Oh no, he's back.
Back. To your point about junk food too, real fast, that made me think like I was actually thinking about this today. Um, like old habits die hard kind of thing.
Mhm.
And I'm thinking back like, dang, when did I start this habit, if any, of just like, I mean, I don't eat junk food or anything like that anymore, but I just think back to like when I used to, and I thought like nothing of it when I was just young and in college.
Yeah.
Bro, I was going through like a pack of Oreos a day, like the vending machine, like they had like, you remember the snacks that they had at Monty?
Yeah.
And like, bro, that was my fuel.
Yeah.
I think back, I'm just like, what if I ate better then?
Oh my
What would
god.
I have become? Been like a super
Cool. No.
okay. Anyways, debatable. Last week we started this where we have these debate topics where we, Jeff and I may actually agree on which side of the coin we prefer, but the objective is to still pick a side and to argue it as best you can. So last week I picked the card. I forgot to send you the cards, Jeff. So I'll pick the card again, and then you could pick the side. Um,
Okay.
maybe we disagree, maybe we do agree, but either way, we're gonna debate. We're gonna have a nice little debate real quick,
Heard.
just to switch things up. All right. Which, Jeff,
Mm-hmm.
is obviously the better type of French fry? Waffle or curly fries?
Mm. Okay. Do I pick it first?
Yeah. What do you say?
Waffle fries.
Mm,
So
why is that?
let's. Okay. So the reason waffle fries are better is, from my experience, they tend not to be as greasy. Um, I think the fry itself,
Is that
crisp.
what you want from a fry?
I
A little
mean, I don't
grease?
want it to be too greasy because sometimes it's too greasy. Then you're like, this actually, there was this, I don't know, there was a stat that was like each fry is equivalent to one cigarette. I was like, damn,
What?
one,
That's
that's how
that's
much.
propaganda. Where where'd you see that stat?
It's like, hold on, you're coming for the cigarette companies. Hold the phone.
That was probably the cigarette company that put
Yeah,
that.
they got beef with the fries.
They said, "Wait a
Uh,
minute, y'all coming at us."
But
How
no,
about
that's it.
this?
I don't want I don't want a fry that's too crispy. Curly fries are shaped weird. They're harder to eat. Yes, I can put the sauce, but where do I put the sauce? Do I put it on top, the
Mm,
side, through the little hole, and then when I pick it up, it's like a sponge or a spring? There's too many
mm.
contraptions. That's too complicated for me. I'm a simple man. I want a fry that's not too greasy that I can flip. I can use it as a little patty to make, chicken nuggets. Look, it's got to
Listen,
function the right way.
listen. Here's the thing about waffle fries. If ever I've had a fry that was bland, tasteless, unseasoned, and a very poor experience, it was a waffle fry. Why do you think that is?
I don't know. You probably made them at home.
No, no. This we're talking about inconsistency because let's take okay, we all know Chick-fil-A, they do the waffle fries,
Oh
right?
my gosh. Yeah.
Chick-fil-A does the waffle fries. I don't like I don't like having to like cross my fingers whenever they show up in my bag. I hope they're seasoned. I hope these ones are good this time,
Yeah.
right? You know what I'm talking about. The waffle fry
Yeah.
has got to be the most inconsistent fry format in all of French fry land, in all
Mm.
of France. Whereas the curly fry is the opposite. The curly fry is like, curly fry is going to be seasoned. You know that. You know it's going to be fry texture, right?
Hmm.
It's like you don't make a curly fry unless you know how to make a curly fry. Like
Mm.
like whether or not you like curly fries or you don't like curly fries, anytime you've gotten a curly fry, it's tasted like a curly fry.
So
Y-
I think you're talking
You
about the curly fries from Checkers. Is that correct, sir?
no, no, no. Curly they don't do curly fry. They do seasoned fries. Curly
Mm,
fries are Arby's.
Arby's. Yeah, yeah. So are you talking from Arby's, or are you just
I'm
saying
talking in general. I'm
in
talking you
general?
could get a curly fry from Arby's, you can get a curly fry from from down the street and it'll taste the same.
Mm.
It's a very identifiable French fry that you can't really like whereas the waffle fry, I get it from Chick-fil-A. Oh, I don't know, maybe was this like microwave? Did you like did was this frozen? I have no idea. I have no way of knowing.
So my thoughts on that are the reason curly fries are so seasoned is because
Why you why why you sound like a lawyer? You sound like
it's like no.
what are your thoughts on curly fries,
Okay,
Jeff?
so curly fries they're seasoned because they suck. Chick Fil A doesn't need to season their fries because they know they're not trying to kill people. That's the Lord's chicken.
Mm.
They're trying to keep people alive. So,
Today's Sunday too. They're not
yeah,
open.
no,
Where
it's
you
not
gonna
open.
get waffle fries?
I'm not. I gotta
You can
wait.
get curly fries today
The fact
from
that they can
Arby's.
take the
Arby's is
time
open.
off means that they're a profitable enough company. I'm assuming. All I'm saying is that, like, if you think about it,
So what are you saying? You're saying that waffle fries are
our elite,
profitable.
our elite,
Curly
they're a
fries are
profitable company. When was the last time somebody went to Arby's? Right, Arby's is like it's a
you
dying
go to
chain because
Arby's
of
for
those
the curly
fries.
fries. You don't
Yes,
go to Chick-fil-A for the waffle fries. You don't go
you don't need
anywhere for
to.
waffle fries.
You don't need to. You can go to the okay. So think about it. You go to Arby's to get those fries. It still sucks because the company's doing bad. No one wants to go to Arby's. No one cares
Look,
about that meat.
look. If we could agree on one thing, it's that Arby's sucks. I will. Arby's is trash.
Yeah.
But we're talking about the curly fry.
Okay.
The curly fry,
How do you eat it?
however you want it. You want to eat it. You can
You
eat it
okay?
like it's, you know, you could break it. You could,
Break all these.
handful,
Oh my
however
god.
you want.
Seems like it's too much. It seems like it doesn't make sense. And also, So eating it seems like it's going to be a problem because there's too many ways to eat it to mess up. Put your finger through the hole and then you try to bite around it. It's too much. So kind
Your
of
closing
gets me to
thought.
think. My closing thought: how were those curly fries made? Was it was it like the last potatoes and then somebody had like something that spins and they're like, there, it's done. Seems kind of like halfway done. Waffle fries are cut up into waffles, so it's like higher end. That's the conclusion right there.
Wait, what? Wait,
Look, think
that is
about
actually true. How do they cut the waffle fry?
it. They got engineers there, barbers maybe, like planning out how do we do this.
They got what? They got potato barbers? Is that
Yeah,
what they
potato barbers, like tech
Wait, I'm
geniuses.
actually how do they wait, how do they make either or actually? How do
I
they make
think curly fries. I've seen it before. It's like there's a machine that either like cuts out the core and then it
what is
spins it
this
out.
sorcery?
Yeah, it's like it's something that just cuts. I think it can even take like a whole potato and cut a couple of them out, and then they cut it into bits or whatever, fry it up.
But the waffle fry, what's
Elite engineers. I don't know who they
is that like
they got like
pyramids? Like we don't know who made the
I don't
waffle
know.
fry? Who
That's
made the
why
waffle fry?
I don't know.
All right, maybe we
Scientists.
should end that there because we're gonna go because I got because now I just have more questions. Look,
Oh my gosh, this game can go
look,
on for days.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be 100% honest. I hope I hope I've convinced you all that the curly fry is a superior fry,
Oh my god.
but I'd be
Oh,
lying if I told you I actually agreed with that.
mm.
It's just part of the game. But maybe I shouldn't have said that. Maybe I should have stuck to the guns of the curly. Actually, I take that back. Curly
No, it's too
fries,
late.
elite.
It's no. Curly
Look,
fries is not elite. You don't gotta lie to me, Jamil. It's okay.
moving on. Moving on. The last thing I wanted to talk to you about, like I mentioned last week, I went on an 8-month drought, no work coming in. I finally got a booking the beginning of this month. Very appreciative, very fortunate, feeling like was feeling really, really like renewed in this
Yeah.
booking, like in a way that I haven't when I, showed up at work before. Just in dailies, just like happy, just happy to be in dailies talking about projects and stuff. It was actually really cool. Um, I mean, don't get me wrong, 8 months without work was very, very challenging, but um it certainly renewed my enthusiasm for what I do. I'd be lying if I said that, but over the course of getting back to work, back into the swing of that schedule, hours can be kind of long. I mean, like the base work hours, not your typical 9 to 5. I don't know what it is in other industries. I imagine most are similar, but usually work is from like 10 to 7. Um, so after a while, it still does start to feel kind of like, ooh, this is, I'm tired. I'm at the desk. I'm tired.
Yeah.
My eyes are tired.
Heavily.
I want to get up kind of thing. So,
Yeah.
um, I've been very much aware having, going back to work now of like what what it is that's leaving me tired at the end of the day because I've been working on my own project, our project that we were working on together. We've built apps, we've been making all kinds of things in that time. And when it's yours, you're working on it, you're energized, you're awake, you're excited. And you're in that zone. You're very focused. And so you don't really have that kind of fatigue that I was having, at the end of the workday. I was starting to have that again. I was like, dang, I'm beat, you
Mm.
know? And I just kind of dissected that, really kind of like journaled. I started doing that again at the end of the day, just kind of like a debrief of like, what is it, and what I've come to the conclusion of after careful analysis, is that I want to debunk a myth with you today, Jeff. The myth, the myth is that multitasking is possible. It's not.
It's not.
It's not a thing. It's not actually a humanly possible thing to do. And I was trying to do that over the last couple weeks. I've been trying to work on this. Also, kind of knock this XYZ out. You know, in the meantime,
Hmm.
listen to this. Like this is something I want to listen to. Let me listen to it while I'm work. Like it's not actually a thing. Multitasking. I think that people have been like touting their multitasking abilities over the years. It's like you may have thought you were multitasking. It's not humanly possible, right?
Yeah.
The idea of being able to focus your mind on two separate things simultaneously is not possible. And if you think you're doing that, then that's might be what's draining you.
Yeah. I'll
Yes,
I'll
say.
answer that. When you multitask, you're actually mini tasking. So like you're doing little
Mm,
bits of everything, but you're not really making any substantial progress. And that's how I try and think about it now, because I was definitely one of those people who's like I had to do a bunch of things at once. I got to specialize in a bunch of things. Um, I gotta, yeah, just be able to do multiple things at the same time. Listen to videos. Sometimes I'll think, okay, I'm gonna listen to this person speaking on this podcast while I'm watching a video of a tutorial on this side, while I'm working on this other screen. And it's like you might think you're getting something done, but you're really just lying to yourself, honestly. Um, and it's exhausting to do that. Like
yeah.
your brain, I don't think our brains really like that too much.
Yeah.
Stressed
And
out.
that's the thing. That's why I wanted to make this PSA because it's like you said, you think you're like you actually do think you're doing something.
Hmm.
Like you may have finished the tutorial and finished the work and watched that video, but like you didn't actually absorb. Like you didn't.
Yeah.
Like our brains, our minds can only focus on one thing at a time. Like if you try and do it right now, like you know, even like take the analogy of not even the analogy, but like our eyes, right? From like if you want to focus on your finger in front of you or you want to focus on whatever is behind it, like you can't put both things in focus at the same time.
Hmm.
And it's like when we try and do that with our minds, it's like you said, you're actually mini tasking. You're just like splitting your attention like back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. You don't actually have your attention on multiple things at the same time. You're
Hmm.
just kind of like bouncing around, and it's this like chaos that you think is actually productive,
Yeah.
but it's and sure you may get it done, right? Which is why you think that you multitasked and got it done, but it's actually so draining and tiring on your mind and on your brain, and to the point where like I said, I was getting to the end of the day, I was just like, what, like I am beat, like not physically, but just like I can't even do 2 plus 2 right now, you know?
Yeah. Completely wiped out. And
Hmm.
then the next day it's like, okay, now it takes me a little bit more time to recover because yesterday was a lot. That thinking of that just reminds me of this quote I heard, which was like, I think we were talking about it earlier about kind of feeding into yourself. But what would we? How would we be if we weren't anxious? How good could you be at something if your brain felt like it had space to think? Uh, and that's what I've been trying to do. I think a little bit more recently is just giving time, myself time to do nothing, um, to look at less tabs, to do less things, and I think my brain kind of likes it. I don't know.
It's your natural it's your natural state. If you think of your brain, if you think of your mind as a muscle, then it's much easier to see that, you know?
Yeah.
Like you couldn't you you couldn't sit in a you know, what are they called? Wall sits. You
Oh,
remember those
oh my god.
basketball practice or
Oh, gee.
any kind of training? Like you're doing wall
Uh,
sits where you're like, if you don't know what a wall sit is, it's where you essentially act like you're sitting on a chair with your back up against a wall, but there's no chair. And so you're activating your quads and your glutes and your legs. Um, and you will probably go for about 40
mhm.
seconds, maybe less
Yeah,
if you've never done them before, right? If you can't do that forever. You have to like that's not the natural position and state of your legs. Like your leg muscles are naturally like if you just did absolutely nothing, your legs would be relaxed, right?
yeah,
So that's if you think of your mind that way and your mind is what you're using to think and to imagine and to daydream and to, do all these things. I feel like we're so distracted with so many things. So many things are drawing our attention that we think that it's just it's just natural for something to be going on in your head.
mhm,
And I think
yeah,
that people can get really uncomfortable when they even consider that the possibility of just being and not having anything going on where it's like, oh, now I'm missing
yeah,
out. Like I'm missing out on stuff. Like this problem needs to be solved,
mhm.
you know. Um but yeah, it's not
But
actually something that you have to do. You just gotta let yourself relax and your mind will naturally do it. And
yeah,
this
absolutely.
week, this week, like I said, last thing with my PSA, multitasking isn't possible. Um, the one fix that I did that eliminated 99% of my ability to kind of like just lock in and knock out my task and in doing so not feel drained afterwards was putting my phone out of reach. Like I changed that one thing and it was like goodness gracious. The
Mm,
phone, our addiction to it, are like just mindless reaching for it over the course of the day,
yeah,
hour, you know, is like is take a look at that. That's all I'm saying. Take a
yeah,
look at your phone usage and see
yeah.
how you can streamline yourself.
I've been I think I used to notice it a little bit more when I had my phone around and I was like working outside or something. I would have like a phantom buzz. So like I'd feel
Mhm.
like my phone
Yeah,
buzzing and I'm
yeah.
like, it's my phone and it wouldn't be close to me because this is when I was working in construction. But I would still walk around and have my phone, but that's when I had it the most. But I would still feel like the buzzing, or I'd hear something that sounded like it, so I'd check my phone. Um, yeah, no, that's something. To your point, definitely check the relationship you have with your phone because it could be causing you a lot of anxiety.
Yeah. I mean like anxiety, yes, one thing, but even just standpoint of just like we said, like um that muscle that is your mind, like it's just always on. Just like, you know, you're reaching for it. Like you have a thought. I think that's what it was too. It was like I'd be working on my task and then I'd have a thought like about some chore or something, some email that I was thinking about or like sent a couple days ago, or whatever it was. It's like, oh, I
Mm,
wonder about this. And since my phone was right there, it was like I would just immediately divert my attention and look at that real quick, quote
yeah,
unquote. Let me look at, let me check that real quick, or let me see if so and so replied real quick. and
Hmm.
then like you do that like 100 times, probably
Yeah,
more than that over the course of the day, and it's like your mind is constantly, like we said, you're not focusing on more than one thing. You're not multitasking. It's like you're constantly switching your focus from one thing to another, one thing to another, one thing to another, and it's
yeah,
like it's tiring. End of the day, I was like, dang, I didn't even really do anything. Why am I
yeah.
so tired?
Just because you switch back, they say it takes 20 minutes to get back into a flow. So every time
Hmm.
you lose in 20 minutes, and after a few hours, you're like, the day's over.
That's definitely true. That's
Yeah,
definitely true. 20 minutes. Yeah.
like at least. I mean, some people are obviously faster, but 20 minutes for the average person. Um, so think about
Yeah.
that, y'all. Think about when you when you're working and you're splitting yourself between multiple tasks. Are you really completing tasks the way that you want to? Because it could be a much more enjoyable experience between starting and finishing your projects. And the main difference could just be taking some time to not jump into other things when you don't need to.
Yeah. I'm gonna try something actually. I'll report back to the podcast. Like you said, like I don't think you should gloss over that word flow. Like you said, it takes 20 minutes to get into a flow. Like we all know, we've all been in that flow state when you're working on something that's yours, right? Whether, whatever
Hmm.
it is, you played sports, you're working on a project, or you're painting something, music, whatever. Like we've been in that flow state, and how you're just like, it's great, you know?
Yeah.
But I think kind of what we're alluding to here and what we're getting at is like that flow state isn't necessarily directed towards what it is that you're doing. It's more so the fact that you're 100% focused on it, right? Like you're undivided. It has your undivided attention, and everything else is gone, right? You can get you can get into that flow state, um, cleaning the house, and not right. And like you said, it takes 20 minutes. So every time let me check my phone, let me check my email real quick. Like you cut your ability to even get close to that. So it's like if you just say like, okay, I want to get into the zone. Like I'm about to clean the house, right? Let me allow myself to get into the zone while I do this. Put the phone away, like distractions, and like really practice focusing on one thing at a time. And um yeah, I think that you can really surprise yourself with like how much you get done. and,
Hell yeah.
and at work and everything, just applied to everything. I don't know. So simple, but goodness gracious, our attention spans nowadays. It's
You
not
know,
easy.
yeah,
Hmm.
it's not easy. There's more things to distract us, but there's also a greater opportunity you know, to stay with things a little bit longer. You can record things a little bit easier. So, um, like you said, I feel like when you protect your mind, and you'll be able to complete things a lot easier. And
The words, I think, to close off the podcast, in the words of the illustrious Marshawn Lynch, protect your chicken and your mentals.
that's the pod.
Curly fries are elite.
No.